Wonderful. Okay, let's talk about incentives alignment between ST holders or any LST holders and node operators. Because at the end of the day, it turns out that these two groups, they want different things, and we need to find a sort of a balance between not having a single operator and still having a lot of users. To do that, we need to first understand how Ethereum staking works, even though I have a feeling that most of you already understand that. Still, the default scheme for Ethereum staking is incredibly simple. You have your wallet. From your wallet, you take 32 ETH or more, you put it onto Beacon chain, you get the ability to run validator, you run your validator, and you get rewards for running validator. Simple, easy, and in case of a solo staking, both the wallet and the validator are owned and managed by a single person. Nothing to align here. The second case that we can see on Ethereum pretty frequently is when the wallet or the funds belong to one entity while the validator is operated and managed by the other. It is called so-called simple delegated staking, when the delegation is actually done off-chain. So there's an off-chain deal between node operator and capital provider. And in this case, there's also no need for specific alignment because the alignment is automatically made whenever the deal is made. So ETH holders make an agreement with the node operator which they prefer, and they're perfectly aligned. The most well-known case is when you have liquid staking protocol in between ETH holders and node operators. And in this case, you do need to align both counterparties because they never interact directly. So you have an independent set of node operators and independent set of users. For both of them, there's only you with liquid staking protocol with whom they interact. So you need to align incentives in between them. Let's scroll through a couple of empty slides. I have no idea how many more would there be. So what are the demands of LST users? The demands are pretty simple and are hidden behind my back, so I'll go there. Well, it's pretty easy. They want high APR, which breaks down to validator performance or maybe usage of additional tools whatsoever. And they want security. They want slashing protection. They want no funds to be stolen. And at the end of the day, they also want usability. On the other side, node operators want permissionless entry because every time you tell, oh, there's a curated set of operators, everyone go crazy. When there's the next onboarding round, blah, 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 blah. So everyone wants permissionless entry. For sure, they want high validator fees because they want run validators for as much money as they can. They want to have simple offboarding and onboarding, and they do want to have freedom when they are choosing configuration of how, where, and when they run their validators. And if we look closer, we will see that there should have been a second picture here with a nice movement, though it never appeared, that like most of the requirements from the node operator side and from the users are kind of contradictory. Because of a simple thing, like for example, if node operators want high validator fees and users want high APR, you will have to make a compromise here. The same for between permissionless entry and security. So like just permissionless entry with nothing at all wouldn't result in a good security. Perfect security, well, when you make a deal with a single operator. Well, maybe not, maybe with two, but still. And so on and so forth. So this is where we need to align them. And today I wouldn't tell you like all of the recipes possible because I'm not aware of them. But I'm aware of a few, which we currently use in Lido community staking module, which allow us to combine this wonderful permissionless entry with ST holders being safe and very, very confident that everything is good with their funds. So first thing is bonded validators. In many staking protocols, node operators who run validators have next to nothing at stake but their reputation, which is already good, but it doesn't serve the purpose of alignment well. Because if you have reputation, okay, you basically used it upon entrance, and after that, well, that's pretty much it. You are not using it at all, and there is no additional incentive for you to stay aligned with the protocol. While with bonded validators, what you can do is you can ask both node operator and user to provide some amount of funds so that at the resulting validator, they will both have something at stake. And for sure, in case of a problems, the first portion that is slashed is the portion provided by node operator. So this is a clear disincentive for node operator to do malicious things, and this is a clear incentive for node operator to perform good so that their portion of stake would also be rewarded as much as it could be. Now let's talk about how to define bond, the bond size. And the formula is very simple. Like, this graph perfectly describes that. Your bond needs to be slightly above realistic risk and lower than what your competitors are offering. Simple, right? Problem solved, congratulations. But in reality, the picture looks like this. So your competitors are already at the risk bottom. Like, no way you're gonna do it lower. And what you're gonna do in this case, so okay, the market had determined the bond. What you gonna do then? Well, you can play with a thing called capital multiplier, which is basically a multiplier on rewards that node operators can get on their bond. And even though this formula is kind of weird, you can see that there are two main things here. It's bond, or bond size itself, and validator fee. So we can have different combinations of bond sizes and fees that would result in the same result in the same capital multiplier for a node operator. So almost the same experience for the node operator. So if you have high bond, you should also have high fees so that the capital multiplier will be identical to low bond and low fees. And what it brings us to? It brings us to two statements. If the bond is fixed, so if we are at the market where all of the market has already defined that the bond should be as low and cannot be lower than that, well, you can raise fees to attract more node operators. If the fees are fixed, so for example, you cannot go lower than some fee, or you cannot pay more than you are currently paying to node operators, well, you can reduce bond and still make it more attractive for your node operators. Now let's talk about performance. And again, performance aspect is usually solved in a way the best performing are getting the most. Though I believe that it's a suboptimal approach because it incentivizes people to compromise other stuff for the best performance. So that's why the concept of performance threshold, first of all, makes it simple to understand and live with it. And second, guarantees a good level of performance. How it works? Super easy. You define a threshold, preferably relative to, say, network average performance. So you say you are not allowed to perform below network average, like -1%, -2%, -3%. You can define it according to your protocol needs. And then for those who are above this threshold, well, you give them socialized rewards so that they don't have to worry of being at the very top or somewhere in between this range. While those who are below the threshold, well, they will get nothing, and they will be disincentivized from continuing bad performance. But at the same time, it's not enough for the protocol, because you might have irrational actors who will be performing bad just for the sake of making it bad for the protocol, even though they would not be getting rewards. So this is where this strikes concept comes into play. So in this case, if the bad performance is a sustained thing, well, after a while, you can remove these validators from the validator set. And what you will end up with is that you will end up with your average protocol performance being above the threshold, and so that you can define the threshold with which you're comfortable, and those being below being removed from the protocol. And the final thing out of this cool things regarding alignment that I want to tell is that operators are different. And despite the fact that permissionless entry is a holy grail of node operator onboarding, it's super cool. It allows you to have as many operators as you can, attract as many operators from the market as you can. Some of them are just better for the protocol. And it doesn't mean that you should only allow these better operators to enter. It means that you can reward those who are considered to be better for the protocol, like node operators validating from distant locations, or just individuals, home stakers, those who are maybe not running from distant locations, but they're just running their node at home. So it will keep your validator set permissionless, and at the same time, it will encourage certain behaviors within validator set, which will make this validator set even better for ST holders, for your LST holders. And the final thing is that while working on any tools, any alignment mechanism, do not forget that this thing should be as automated as possible. Because whenever you introduce a manual alignment tool, you will die supporting it. So never do that. Automate as many things as you can. And that's exactly what we did in CSM. So to wrap it up, I want to say that keep your validators engaged and your users safe. Thank you very much.